Today marks the 30-year anniversary of the Bhisho Massacre, where 28 protesters and a soldier in the former Ciskei were shot dead by members of the former Homeland's Defense Force. More than 200 people were wounded when an estimated 80,000 people marched to Bhisho demanding democratic reform in the then Ciskei. Now, the day is being commemorated through a number of events, but for the latest on the ground, we cross live to SABC News reporter Abongile Jantjies. Abongile, a good afternoon to you, a good morning rather. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. How is the 30th anniversary being marked?
Well, Naledi, a very good morning to you too. Well, we're at the precinct where those people lost their lives in 1992 on this very day. While it remains quite a sad day, even though it's 3 decades on, they're saying that the pain still lives with them. Some people lost their families who were there expecting to be breadwinners. Some children lost their fathers who they were supposed to be looking up to. So this day still remains quite thorny with them, but they are pushing on with life. They are making sure that everything goes on smoothly with their lives. Earlier on, with the provincial government and some of the people laid wreaths here at the memorial site of the massacre, Bhisho. If you see those names there, those are the names of the 28 people who died on this day here on this ground, where at least 200 people were injured, Naledi. So it's quite a sad day for this province, and it remains quite a sad day. Even time doesn't heal these people, even though they are saying that this day still brings the wounds to them. But to get more reaction, I'm now joined by the Bhisho Massacre Foundation Secretary, Nobuntu Pule. A very good morning to you, ma'am. We've been meeting here, we've been seeing this day coming and go, but what do you make of it today?
Thank you very much. Good morning to you too. Today, to me, I've got very mixed feelings as the secretary and also as the person who lost her father. But I can also say that today it is a blessed day. Things are moving according to our wishes. Yes, there are hiccups now and then, but we are journeying in partnership with the government.
Remind our viewers of the demands that you had made last year and the previous years with regard to the Bhisho Massacre.
Thank you very much. Let me start by giving this background. The Bhisho Massacre Foundation, it was started on 2020. We registered the foundation around about May, around the COVID time. As when we met as the families, we sat down and we identified the challenges that we had. Yes, 2019, there was a commemoration with the Premier, Honorable Oscar Mabuyane, and with our request, one of the requests that we requested in the big list, it was we wanted an office for the foundation. And on that same day, the Premier gave us 3 offices here at the memorial site. To the other demands that we were asking and pursuing with the provincial government, it was the tools of trade for that office, because now our motto as survivors is saying from victims to survivors to community builders. So we have moved from being victims by choice, not because all is well, but we are saying the blood that was spread here, sprinkled by our forefathers, in their minds and in their hearts, they had democracy and they wanted what was best for us, our grandchildren, their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. So that's why we made that choice. 3, we said that we want the government to do a Bhisho Massacre village As you can see that we've got this beautiful precinct that is here, and there is land that we all see next to it. We are saying, because we are moving from being victims, we are saying that we know that we need tourists. There are tourists who come around, and this is a story that needs to be told, and our children must know it. You see, yes, history has written it, but it must be practical. So this route, we also said that this route might be named a liberation route, because this is where they marched from Ciskei. And remember, on the 12th is going to be the Bigo Day. So from Ciskei to here, when the tourists, they go to Ciskei.
So in coming to Heritage Month, it's another advantage for this day to be here. And on a daily basis, what happens in these offices that the Premier gave you?
For now, we are still working remotely, because the tools of trade have been given to us only a few months back. But however, we cannot use them without the networks. So yes, we have agreed that they were going to put them and then ensure that there is a security. That is another matter. Right. The other thing that we said, we want a work for the community, because we don't want to be given handouts as survivors. We don't want to be given handouts, but we want to work. So we said to the Premier that this precinct, it is not being kept according to the standard that we wish for it, because the blood was shed here. Okay. And we are saying that the people who can maintain it, it is us, the people who know the pain. You know how you do, you clean your yard.
Thanks a lot for your time, ma'am. Well, that was Nobuntu Pule, who lost a father on this day in 1992. Let's get a reaction from government now. I'm now joined by the acting Premier Umama Nongceba Kontsiwe. Very good morning to you, MEC. Thanks a lot for joining us. Last year it was a rainy day when we interviewed you on this day. At least the day now is at least sunny. The sun is out. But from the promises that were made, how far is government in keeping them?
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and the viewers. Government has moved, as it is said that the building that has been constructed there, which is the Bhisho Massacre precinct, has been concluded and is now working. The tools of trade have been given to the Bhisho Massacre Foundation on behalf of the beneficiaries of the victims and the survivors. So things are moving. The list excuse me, the only challenge that is delaying the processes is that it is very difficult to complete the list of the beneficiaries of the victims because of some challenges that are there. So we haven't completed that. In terms of the housing needs, they are being provided because the departments are committed to prioritize them, including other government services from your other departments, your social development and Department of Education in terms of bursaries. Those that are submitting requests to the Office of the Premier or to government are considered for them to be taken up so that at least their lives are sustained and their lives are taken care of by government.
Thanks a lot for your time, MEC.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Nongceba Kontsiwe, the acting Premier of the day, saying that everything is up to date with regards to the remembrance of this day and its commemoration. Back to you in studio.
Yeah, Abongile, I'm interested to hear if within these commemorations you have the story of what took place on the 7th of September in 1992, reiterated particularly for some of the younger generations. I mean, if you are in South Africa and you were around in the early 90s, you know of the bloody history of our country in that era. But does the community in the era really remember what took place, and how much of that discussion is really being had with the somberness that it deserves?
Well, Naledi, those are some of the things that this day brings, that the somberness of this case, of this matter. And the families say that now they, as you heard from Nobuntu saying that they really want to move away from the pain and just make this day quite a commemoration that people will forget. They want this to be documented in textbooks of what people can learn at school, so that they can know the history of the Bhisho Massacre. 200 people who died just from marching. Ginsberg is not too far from here, marching for that democratic reform, marching for the freedom of this country. So it's their contribution as the people of the Bhisho Massacre, and they are saying that it shouldn't be taken lightly, and they want it also on the map. And since it's Heritage Month, they are hoping to also attract tourists into this onto this precinct, so that it can bring a sort of economic value, so that they can live off it and not merely depend on government. Naledi.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the precinct itself and just the, I suppose, the majesty of that infrastructure that stands there to commemorate the 28 lives lost.
Well, the precinct now sometimes gets used for government briefings. If my colleague Vyokazi Funani may show you, that's the precinct there. It sometimes gets used from government media briefings. I remember government used it for quite a lot of times during the pandemic of the COVID-19, when they used to do those weekly media briefings to update the province on what's happening with regards to COVID. So we do sometimes come here, and it's really secured. I just forgot its value now, but it's worth in the region of millions. And this precinct is where these people want it to be upheld and not just be recognized on just this day. They want it to be an everyday thing where they can just come here and remember their loved ones. So it's really up to standards, and with that hope that it will be named a heritage site for them, it will hopefully boost the economy of Bhisho.